here in person and council meetings.
It's been so long since we had a meeting that I forgot how to record, but we are now being recorded. And we've gone through an approval of the agenda. And we have approved our June 20th meeting minutes. So the next part of our agenda is to talk about LPNA business by Barbara Canook, our treasurer. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay. This is the legally important, but otherwise less important part of the agenda. So next slide. We are going to be approving or voting on proposed bylaw amendments. The amendments were posted, the actual text of all the amendments was posted online, and in the meeting notices that we sent out, links to that posting online was there. If anyone wants me to actually read them. Oh,
There's an email that was sent.
Please don't.
If anything isn't clear to someone, I have the actual text here, which I can read if anyone isn't clear on the point. So the first two, just a little background. We wrote our bylaws before we were actually organized in 2016, and we used model bylaws from other neighborhood associations and from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to do our bylaws. But things have happened since then, and there's some things we decided needed elaboration or clarification. And so this is the first time we've done any amendment to our bylaws, and they're relatively procedural. So the first article that we're amending is the article on member meetings. And the first bullet is that we are recognizing that it's a valid meeting when we do it on Zoom or an equivalent platform. And that's just recognizing reality. Zoom, needless to say, when we wrote the bylaws in 2016, Zoom didn't exist and it wasn't an option. But we're not, the way it's written is it's and or, so we can do it in person, we can do it on Zoom, and we can do what we're doing tonight, which is a hybrid meeting, and all three are legal in the bylaws. One of the next one is relating to how we approve and post the minutes of the meetings. Our bylaws, as originally written, said that they had to be approved at the next meeting of the general membership, and then they would get posted, which meant they weren't posted until 3 months after the meeting. And by then, all the information in the minutes is stale. Because an awful lot of what's in the minutes is current events. So we're changing that to be that the board will review the minutes for accuracy, and then they'll be posted as draft minutes. There'll still be a vote to approve the minutes at the next meeting, but we will post them online as a draft so that the information is available as soon as possible after the meeting. Does anybody have any questions on either of those points? Okay. The next one on the quorum for the board meetings is that was something that just wasn't in the bylaws. We had a quorum listed for member meetings. For member meetings, a quorum, there's a quorum for members, but there's also a quorum for the board, and that's that at least 50% of the board has to be present at the member meeting. So we're just adding a sentence to the Article 5 on officers, that a quorum for a board meeting is the same as the member meeting, at least 50% of the elected officers.
Question.
Yes?
Is the board the president, the vice president, the treasurer, the secretary, and the member at large?
There are 3 members at large, so there are currently 7 members of the board.
So, okay. So then what's 50%?
So 50, it's at least 50%. So, and the current board of 7 people, a quorum is 4.
Okay, so for okay.
Yeah, I had more to say that, but you were sharp and you got.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. Just so you're paying attention. So that is what a quorum will be. The risk of putting too high a number for the quorum is that if somebody is ill, or for instance, we have one member who's dealing with a death in the family now, you can get yourself trapped where you can't have a legal meeting because you can't get a quorum. So the at least 50%, I think, is a sufficient requirement for a quorum. Okay, duties of officers. The president has to do some oversight over me, the treasurer. And the bylaws, as originally mentioned, require the president to review bank statements. One of the problems is that bank statements have changed over the years. They no longer have much information in them. All they show you is a check number and an amount. Doesn't tell you who it was written to. And there are no photocopies of the checks included in the bank statement. So reviewing the bank statements, other than verifying the balance, reviewing the bank statement doesn't really do anything. So we're changing it to say that the president reviews financial reports, all the disbursements, and the bank balances. And the bank balances will involve checking the bank balances to the bank statement, but not necessarily reviewing every single bank statement, which would be tedious and not providing any benefits. Then Article 7, non-participation in campaigns. The original language just said LPNA shall not participate in political campaigns, etc., and also propositions on a ballot for a political office or propositions on a ballot. We just wanted to clarify that that doesn't mean that as individuals people can't participate, but LPNA as an organization can't participate in political campaigns, and an officer can't imply or indicate that they are representing LPNA in participating in a political campaign.
Does that mean you can't have election forums? Or
No, you're not participating in a campaign then. You can't use
the forum and educate people on.
you can educate, but you can't educate and only have the person you want to win. And you cannot, under the city's laws for the Beautify SJ grants, you cannot do anything to do with an election.
Right.
So you can't do a candidate forum and
Oh, yeah, they won't pay.
and they won't pay for the refreshments or for the room or whatever. But I don't think there's no reason why, as this is stated, that you couldn't do a candidate forum as long as it's an even handed and not favoring a particular candidate. But we wanted to make sure it was clear that that doesn't hog tie us as individuals for any candidate. But we're all aware that we need to be clear about that. So that is it. Those are all of the bylaw changes. So
You have on Article 6, you talk, sorry, I came on the board for Massachusetts one too, so that's fine.
Okay.
I know, so you have section 3, you have a change.
oh, that's just to conform it.
Okay.
It effectively just refers back. It just says the treasurer has to provide the financial information required for the president.
Want to vote on if you.
Yeah, so that's also there. That was in what was posted online. That's probably where you got another phone.
Next,
So we have,
next slide.
no.
Wait, I'm sorry, you guys,
Yeah,
I
go.
had it on mute. Can I say something?
Yes,
So, Mike Van Dam, he suggested in the chat that we should use the word online meeting instead of Zoom because it could change and it's a private company that allows free use
Okay.
of their service with
the
conditions. So
actual wording says in person and or virtually, for example, using Zoom. So uses Zoom only as an example of an online,
okay. just
of a
wanted to-
virtual meeting. So no, we realized that was, so, that's why the point here says, for example, on Zoom.
Right. Okay.
So I think those words are, that wording is okay. But that is a valid point. Anybody else have any other questions? Anything in the chat? Anything else in the chat, Karen?
Nope.
Okay, somebody want to pose a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve the changes to the bylaws.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, thanks, Lynn. All right, so the way we have to do a vote on in virtual, I can ask the people here to raise their hand to vote for. But
I think there's an option to raise your hand on Zoom.
You stop showing the slide.
it's actually easier to say, raise your hand if you
Oh, yeah.
vote negative.
If there are any.
If there are any objections to approving,
Not that I think anyone's gonna object, but you have to approve each article individually.
No. We're approving them all. If somebody objects, then we might, but if nobody objects, we will approve them as a slate. So are there any objections? Anybody raised a hand or made a comment to object to approving these changes to the bylaws? Okay, then it passes and the bylaws are approved. The bylaw changes are approved. So we will post online the final version of the bylaws. All right, next slide. So this is just an announcement that we are opening the nominations for the board. We have to go through an annual election under our bylaws, and our bylaws say that the election is held at the last meeting of the year. So that'll be our December 12th meeting, which is again also on a Thursday. We've been putting all of our meetings on a Thursday. The role descriptions of officers is in our bylaws, and it is in our governing documents on our website. And biographies of the current officers are also posted on the website in the same area under About and the Board. And anybody who wishes to nominate themselves for a board position just has to email. It has to be in writing, so we suggest emailing any one of the officers. President at LosPaseosNeighbors.com, vice president at LosPaseosNeighbors.com. And it can also be submitted in the contact us page of the LosPaseosNeighbors.com website. And the last day for nominations is November 12th, because our bylaws require that nominations close 30 days before the election. So that it's basically just about a little less than 2 months from now. The nominations close. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you have enough people on the board? Do you need help recruiting people to try to, nominate or? What for Los Paseos, we're always trying to get people going, so we cannot get enough people, but if you have enough people, I will try to.
Well, we want people to be involved. And it.
The only, I'll buy you some ice cream after this meeting.
Okay. Also, this information with the links for where the information is and how to submit will be in the minutes that will get posted after this meeting online. All right.
That was a good question. Where we need some discussions on that kind of thing. Appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, and we do want more input and more people involved. So there is definitely something to talk about.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, treasurer's report. So our fiscal year ended June 30th, and this is the first meeting since then. We had income of $6,130 at Bernal. A majority of that was from the Beautify SJ grant. Our expenses were $5,620, and most of that was spent on the National Night Out and the street trees planted in the using our city forest. And those were both under the Beautify SJ grant. And our cash on hand at the end of June was $1,490. Since then, in July, we received a $1,000 grant from District 10, when we thank very much District 10 office and Councilmember Batra for support. We also just received finally the cash for our Beautify SJ grant for the next, I guess it's only less than 9 months at this point. Did cause a little bit of a problem in funding National Night Out. I had to put some of it on my credit card, but fortunately now we have the cash to pay. And that's the end of the general. Any questions on the treasurer's report? Okay. So we have a few announcements. Next page.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Is that one? Okay.
So there is an open house next Tuesday evening at the library. Put on by the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority. And they're trying to get information out to the public and get feedback back from the public on the master plan that they're working on for the use of the conservation land that has been acquired by the city and administered by the Open Space Authority in Upper Coyote Valley, North Coyote Valley. So they're looking for input. They're going to put on an event. They're going to have family-friendly activities. At 4:15, there's going to be a program on all the animals in Coyote Valley. And if anybody hasn't seen the video that was a good part of the movement, initiating the movement toward conserving that part of Coyote Valley, you can Google or use your browser of choice, coyote and badger, Coyote Valley, and you will get a really cute video of a coyote and a badger who were known to hunt together, but who knew they also played together. So, anytime I'm not feeling very good, I go Google that, look at it, and get a good laugh. Two other quick announcements. One is we are working on tours of the Metcalf Power Plant. We did that a few years ago. It was very popular. People attended and then really enjoyed it. There are new people in the neighborhood. So we are working on arranging that. We don't have the details yet, so stay tuned, but we will let people know when we start taking names, and the tours are limited in size, and we can probably arrange as many tours as we need to get everybody on the list through. The second thing is just a reminder, the deadline for voter registration for the election coming up is October 21st. Just in case anybody didn't know there was an election coming. If you are not registered and you are eligible, you can register online or with a paper form. Paper forms are available at post offices, libraries. And you can also check your registration status online. And I actually did that. I went on to the registrar, Santa Clara County registrar of voters website and checked my registration status and found out, yes, indeed, I am registered to vote. The nearest vote center for the election will most likely be the Santa Teresa Library for our neighborhood. And they will open to walk-ins on October 26th. So they will open several days before the election and be available to walk in and drop off a ballot if you get a paper ballot at home, or to do a vote in person. Any questions on the voter registration information?
I have another thing I wanted to bring up if we're kind of going forward. So the Coyote Valley, we probably should have included, we did include it in our recent newsletter, but there's a meeting about they're planning to, what do you call it? A graveyard? Yeah, they're planning to build, I'm not sure if people are aware of that. They're planning to build a graveyard kind of off of Bailey. So it's going to be a little bit more up in the hills, but it's kind of at the end of Bailey, kind of behind where the Gavilan College little sub campus is, and then up into the hills and kind of over back towards the golf course. And that meeting, there is a community meeting about that on the 23rd, I believe. Once I'm in a place where I'm not sharing my screen, I would be able to put a link to that in the chat, but I can't do it now. So that's just something, since we're talking about Coyote Valley, it might be of interest to people. So that's it.
And information about the email that went out to all of our email list last night has information about that in it. The last item in that email is about the I don't know, maybe a memorial park is the way to refer to it. So I'm done with my section, and we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is District 10 update.
All right. Timing is perfect. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so good evening and thanks for being here. I'll give you a quick update on one or two items. Let's start with the happenings of the last couple of weeks, starting August 15th. On August 15th, you had a county meeting with the community. And in that one, they told that city was going to sell the Bernal Monterey EIH to the county. County would be the buyer, and county will change its use to become jail diversion facility. They also said on 27th of August, City Council will be having this item on the agenda, and City Council will approve on the 27th of August, and the transition will start. This happened on the 15th between 5 and 7:30. Next morning, we worked on, and the first thing we needed to do was stop this item appearing on the agenda on the 27th, which we were successful. By the end of the day, we had a commitment that this item will not be on the agenda on the 27th of August. And then we started working with the community. What is it we really want as a long-term thing? And it was pretty clear from the community in South San Jose. They said that they have already done more than their fair share for helping with the homelessness situation and the solutions. We have encampments, we have EIH, we have multiple EIH and all that. And making this change, jail diversion facility, is a burden which the South San Jose community is and was not prepared to take. We started working on it, and you know the things which we did as a community. The first thing you got is want this to happen. Many of you wrote emails to the mayor and the council members. Some wrote it to the even county. I wrote the op-ed to the Spotlight, and then I gave an interview to Mercury, and they published that one. And then we learned that county was going to have a second meeting with the community on 11th of September. And they were going to try explaining to the community that maybe in some different words, what they intended to do with this facility, and hoping that they will be able to get that, they will be able to get the buy-in from the community to do that. Community was not prepared to listen to that new wording, or because they knew the intention of this county were to make it a jail diversion facility. Whatever words they may use, it wasn't going to change their mind. So we asked community not to boycott that meeting. In fact, we asked as many people as you can, please join that meeting. And it was a Zoom meeting, so you didn't have to go anywhere. Attend the meeting And instead of that being a meeting for for the county to give you a second version or third version or whatever they want to call it, instead you give your clear feedback to the county that you are in no longer in mood to do this particular conversion and have additional burden placed on the community in terms of the unsafety, the family, and whatever else may come along with it, in addition to whatever you already have. That meeting had an impression, even though the first 20 minutes or so were used by Sylvia Arenas and their program manager or somebody to explain what the jail diversion facility means or doesn't mean. Mayor was there in the opening statements where he expressed that he was coming to the meeting with an open mind to listen to what they had to explain, what this facility will be used, how it will be used, what will be in, what will be out. Okay. But after the presentation, about 51 of the people from our community spoke, and their message was very clear. They didn't use too many different words, and the message was that we do not want the CIH to be converted into a jail diversion facility. And if the rest of the 560 people would have been able to speak, I think their wording would have been exactly the same. As a result of that one, I think county got a clear message. And that very night, Mayor went on NBC where he said, knowing what he knows, listening to what he heard, he is unable to support the sale of this facility to the county. We have further confirmed that now city staff does not plan to present to the city council a proposal saying we will be selling this. So typically anything which happens like these major events, you have the city staff comes with a memo making a recommendation, council debates it. Most of the time, the recommendation passes because they've done their homework before and the council members had a chance to look at the material. In this particular case, the city staff will not be bringing any proposal in front of the council. So council has nothing to approve or disprove. Okay. As far as we know, and the city staff's plans and mayor's plans, this item is no longer for sale under consideration, and hence I issued that update number 6, where I clearly stated that the people who have been on the edge, have been worried, have been having sleepless nights, they can go and sleep easy. This item is not coming up for proposal, and there's nothing for us to approve or disapprove. Okay. But that doesn't mean that any of the problems which were associated with EIHs or with the encampments have all disappeared just because the jail diversion isn't going to be happening. So we about what EIHs have and what promises we made about keeping them clean, having those 2 walkable blocks, no encampments in there. And when the Via del Oro comes up, what promises we have made for that. We need to focus that we as city council, live up to those promises which were made so that our community is better off and can sleep easy. So that's the update regarding this particular site and in general, South San Jose area. I'm open to any questions, comments, whatever you may have.
Question. My name is Amelia Hatfield, and in the last meeting, I think that there was a mention that we would get the information regarding the number of beds and spaces in the district. Did we get, do you have an update on that by chance?
Is that question to me?
Yes. The question. Yeah,
So what are we looking for? I'm sorry, I'm not able
no,
to.
that's okay. During the last meeting, that there was an ask to get the number of beds and spaces in each district. So that we understood the equability, because as you can see, South San Jose has been pretty inundated.
Okay, these numbers have been presented in couple of different ways. Michelle, you have the numbers for the raw numbers for what we call the EIHs. And I believe Mayor had the meeting yesterday, which I wasn't able to attend. I think he presented some numbers about different districts, and he included in there not just the EIH, but any kind of shelters, whether they were one-day shelter, whether they were longer-term shelters. Mm.
Yeah, so at the, so we have numbers that show just from the EIHs that South San Jose, that the Santa Teresa area, D2, D10, has the most EIH type facilities. However, when you take the whole city as all of the shelter beds, when they compare the congregate shelters and all the shelter beds, the mayor yesterday was saying that this area is fourth.
Are you able?
Because we have
Yeah.
have mostly D7, D3, and D6 have the majority.
Understood. Are you able to send that information to the secretary so that she can update everybody on the distribution list so that they
Yeah,
have?
I only have the EIH number, so I'm waiting to get the
Okay,
picture
sure.
of the whole thing. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you. I really.
want to see that too.
Yeah, and then there was another one, where I think there was gonna be, a question regarding, a task force to ensure even distribution. Equitable, citywide task force to look at equitable and favorable distribution of sites throughout the city. Do you know if that's been taken and moved forward?
No, that was a suggestion, which
Mhm.
I am not too sure at the moment. That I am in a position to take that forward because the focus on different things which we are trying to get done. And I'm not sure that I have enough bandwidth to be able to make that happen because there doesn't seem to be any receptivity from my colleagues over creating such a task force. What Michelle has suggested is that we in D10 have work groups for different things working. D10 leadership creates those work groups. If we are willing to create a D10 work group, my office will be willing to provide support for that one. But at this moment, I do not have the ability and the resources or a commitment from my fellow colleagues that I could get a task force formed for that purpose.
So, what is the plan to help with the challenges that this neighborhood is having with, the unhoused community? Because we've seen a huge influx in the last just three months alone.
Yeah, so that item is different from what you're talking about, the task force. If you're moving on to the next item, that as I said, that we need to focus on what is there in terms of what encampments there are and what is the number of EIHs and the promises which we made about keeping that when we have an EIH, we need to be kept clean so we
Right.
can get the
Sorry,
enforcement for
excuse me.
that.
Really quick, it cut out the last minute. Could you repeat yourself, please?
Pros, so repeat.
So
Your screen froze, so if you could repeat what your last statement was, it'd be helpful.
okay, so in terms of the current encampments and the current EIH over there, we put it in the last memo what our obligations are, the city's obligations are. We should be demanding all of those to be happening and be met in those requirements. And right now, you have those two walkable blocks around every EIH, every RV parking, and any sleeping space which gets created, they need to be encampment free. Okay.
Well,
If you are seeing anything there, you can ask for the enforcement of that. Okay.
well, with all due respect, there should be no encampments there in this neighborhood at all. So what is your plan to help with that? Regardless of whether they're 2 blocks or more, what is your plan? Because
And who is asking that question?
we can only support so much. So we have the VTA site, we have the EIH site,
Yes.
and we have, hold on, we have the residence, the hotel site, and now we have an influx of unhoused tents. And then there's also down Great Oaks, there's more. So I think we need to understand how that's gonna be addressed, because the community, we deserve to be able to walk down the street.
Yes,
Safely.
you do, and all of these things what you got there, they are inherited before I came here. The only thing new which has happened is the Via Del Oro EIH site. And that is the
I'm
first
not
one.
asking if you're going to, what you inherited, I'm asking what's gonna happen moving forward.
You are going to get the, when the Via Del Oro gets built, you're supposed to get a 1.5-mile radius. All the encampments are supposed to be given an outreach. After the outreach is done successfully, if the people have not taken their offer, they will be abated. Whether they are the RV vehicles or whether they are the encampments. And then there are certain designated areas, there's going to be no re-encampment. That is what was put in the memo of April 16th. And that is what you should be expecting to get. That is what we should be enforcing to get that. And we put that in the memo on the 16th of
That's what I wanted
April,
to know.
which was signed by 5 of us, the mayor and the 4 council members, and approved unanimously.
Thank you. That is the information I was looking for. Is there a way that we'll get that?
There's also another council member, remember the, with the, pilot, or not the pilot, the temporary tow signs that are coming in January? And then Las Colinas is on that program?
Yes, yeah, so because our DMV laws did not allow us to tow any vehicle unless there is a towing sign there. So there were the 2-hour parking or no overnight parking, that sign alone doesn't give us the power to tow anything. Giving citation to these people was of no help because they ignore it. Who are you going to collect any money from? So we needed the towing power. So we have now got that we need to put those signs, and those are coming up in January for Las Colinas areas. Those signs will be put. Once those signs are there, then the violations of those will be able to tow those. Before that, you could not tow them. You can keep giving citations, and they just continue to ignore them because nobody is going to be able to collect any money from them. They haven't got any to give you.
I think it would behoove you to share the information about the 1.5-mile radius in an email to the neighborhood association. If that's possible.
Michelle, could you send them a copy,
Again,
Sure, that would be great. I think that would be great.
copy of that memo of 16th of April?
Thank you very much, Batra.
Okay, all right. Any other questions on that? I think we have a lot of work to do as a community and to make your community the way it should be. Okay, and we have inherited some of the stuff, and we need to be able to move on towards our next chapter of life where you begin to get what was promised.
Is it the internet here?
Cleaner, and that hasn't happened to date. Okay, and we will work with you, I'll work with you to make sure that that's what we get through our enforcement mechanism, through our outreach mechanism. We'll still deal with these people compassionately who need our help, but they have to cooperate with us and take the help and then be good neighbors to you when they are there. And if they are not able to be, then they don't belong there.
Thank you.
Okay. any other questions?
Are there other, I'm just wondering if we should move on to other D10 updates that you wanted to share with us? Anything else that's that you think is important to us?
I think the important thing would be some of the events which are coming up. We have a talk with Batra coming up, and even if you don't want to talk to Batra, this time you have an attraction because it's going to happen on McDonald's. So you'll be able to get the free breakfast, whether you talk to me or not, whether you tell me anything or not. So please do come to that talk with Batra at McDonald's. And then there will be subsequent one in the Zoom if you decide to come to that one. I think those are a couple of, oh, then there's a October 4th, I believe, is you have a Viva movie going to be on in La Colina Park. So you should enjoy that evening before it becomes too cool to be outside. Okay? And we started last year in December for the first time in District 10, shredding and e-waste days. I tried to make it every quarter, and there's one coming up for you to get ready for being able to get rid of all your old e-waste so that you can go in December buy more. Okay. All right. So make room for the new ones. So get rid of it, all what you need to get rid of it. So there's a shredding and e-waste, we do it together. Dumpster day, we do it separately. So those are coming up. Please take advantage of that one. And Michelle can provide you the information about the dates for those. They are on our website or on our newsletter. We try to include those in there. Okay. All right. So I think those would be helpful to you and everybody in the community. I believe I see one hand. Harv, are you trying to talk to us?
I will now.
Okay.
Hey, I wanted to thank you for the radar signs and, Michelle driving every morning to check them. So I really appreciate her doing that. Yeah, we need to work on some of them, but I appreciate you getting the signs on. I know it took a little bit over more than a year, but we got them up, or the radar whole thing. So appreciate doing that. It was a great job. And hopefully it'll slow it down. And whoever officers here, I need the motors guys to come out and check that area once in a while to slow these guys down. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So one thing, since you talked about that one, if you will give me a minute, I want to explain this. When I started working on getting some traffic calming measures, one of the traffic calming measure was supposed to be on 3 streets in District 10. Those are supposed to be speed humps. And as I worked 20 months on those, trying to get for those streets, get the study done, then the community meetings and those and that. After all of that, I was told that those will be put on a list and someday they will get done. There were no schedule given to us. And that did not make me too happy. And neither did it make anybody in the community very happy. So I worked with our DOT and finally got a schedule, and those 3 are done. But what I learned in that process is that these speed humps, after the studies are done, they're put on a list. And today there are 39 streets for which humps have been recommended as a way to make our streets safer. But there's no schedule for them when they will get done. They may be there 10 years, 15 years before they are done. To me, that is not a a city which cares about its safety, about the children. That is not a very good situation finding. So I'm working with Jennifer McGuire, our city manager. Humps are the right solution for a certain street to become safer. We should have a time limit of something like 6 to 12 months to get those done. And we should not be waiting for 20 years for those to happen. And if some accident happens on one of those streets, I would certainly not have the nerve to be able to walk up and talk to the parents whose child might have gotten hurt when we knew that we could make that street safer by having some traffic calming measure. So I'm working on it. So as a result of doing this thing, I'm trying to make some systematic changes rather than just one-off getting humps done on a street. As I learn these things, I'm trying to extrapolate them to make the whole city, and those 39 are not all in our district, but I don't mind taking care of the whole city of San Jose, make a policy which is going to be better for making everybody safer. So those are the type of ways I'm trying to approach things, not do just one off, see if we can extrapolate them to doing the larger scale activities. Okay. Okay, I think I see one more question, and then I think Karen is probably going to want me to say bye, right?
Soon. Peter?
Yes, Councilman, thank you for, everything you've done for our community. So I know the mayor has put a lot of cameras recently, those solar powered ones. It's called Flock around the city, right? So are there more cameras coming, and can the community have an input on where we would like to see those cameras?
Okay, so the flock cameras are you're talking about the license plate readers, right? Or the
Yeah.
flock, the ones which are just noting so the flock cameras are actually they were given to us, the number of those increased as a result of the $8.5 million grant, which we got for making the retail theft, which had become prevalent in the last year or so after we changed Prop 47 took effect and the criminals figured out how they could make money out of this new scheme. So $8.5 million grant was given to us from state of California, and half of that grant we are using for putting these license plate readers in different places. They become a crime fighting, crime detection uh, technology, and we will be using, as I said, half of the $8.5 million in making those. I think there are 300 cameras going all over the place, and those are from that grant. Right now, there's no additional money, and half of the money is being used for having uh, proactive walks, which is going towards the overtime of the people who are providing us the safety and preventing the um, retail theft. So that's how the cameras came. But there is another camera program which is applicable to all of you. If you want to put an outdoor camera and you register that with the city of San Jose, city of San Jose will not be peeking into it. You have the camera. City of San Jose will know that you have this camera and where it is located. In case something happens in your neighborhood, they will contact you to see if there's any footage, relevant footage available. If that footage is available, you will be able to download, send it to the city, and your camera will not be looked at by the city at all. For that one, city is willing to give you up to $350. And anybody is eligible, whoever wants to put those cameras on. Okay. And if you want to have, you can see it on our website. That information is available, or anybody from the city can give you that information. And I hope everybody takes advantage of it. If you don't already have such a camera out there, and you put the camera and get a reimbursement up to $350. Okay. All right.
Good to know. And yeah, thanks for the information. And I'm just coming from a position where we would like to see more cameras in public, especially near the parks. We're almost clearing graffitis and reporting graffitis on a weekly basis, right? So it's a cat and mouse game. So I think having more cameras in public space like a park, it would really, gang activities. That's what
Yes.
I'm driving it.
And we are we are doing a pilot, not trying. We are doing a pilot in District 10, where we are going to have automobile with the cameras drive around looking for potholes, graffiti, and illegal dumping. And we want to be able to get what you report to 311 today. We're trying to see if AI can get us done that. so that we can save your need for looking around for these things. We should be able to proactively look and then take care of it, even without you having to get personally involved with that. Okay, and that pilot is currently going on. We are looking at the quality of data, and after the pilot is completed and the evaluation is done, assuming that the data is good data, then there will be a proposal made how many of such cameras we should acquire, which vendor we should acquire from, and when do we implement that. Okay, but it's in our future. I'm not sure how close it is. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Karen, now going to say bye to me. Right?
Yeah, I think we need to thank you so much for all those updates, and thank you for fighting for the community for the jail diversion program. You know, we do appreciate you, you know, the work you did on that issue. So
You can count on it. What is right for the community, I will stand with you. My job is to amplify your voice. You have the voice, and I will amplify it, and it will get heard at the council, and we will have the results which we need.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Take care.
So is
Good.
there anything else that before we move on? I think we're gonna let the fire department go next. They've been waiting there for a little while, and we appreciate your patience. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have them do, they can introduce themselves however they want, and they have a few short videos to get some of the information across, and then we'll talk about each video a little bit after each one and have people ask questions. So Sage, are you there? And we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm going to say bye and enjoy your evening and your meeting.
Yeah. Karen, you have the videos queued up, right?
I have the videos queued up. I thought they might want to introduce themselves first, or
Yeah.
no?
Kind of used to it. Hello, everyone. My name is Sage Blow with the San Jose Fire Department Station 27. This is the crew. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm the engineer that drives the fire engine, Barry, Brad. And firefighter paramedic Pete Madison.
Fire engineer Amy Schulte.
We're privileged with two drivers here. We have two different engines. For a brush control engine and a type 1 engine with the big fire engine. So we were asked to come here to just give a little bit of presentation on fire safety in the homes. And at first, the discussion was possibly about the wildland, situation and it's called WUI, wildland urban interface. And I looked up on a map, and this place, this neighborhood is not in a wildland urban interface, fortunately for everyone. So that's not going to be something that we really need to address during this time. But we have about 4 different videos that we'll go through, and then we'll talk a little bit more about those. And there's a few questions, and we'll answer those at the very end.
So this first one is kind of a very cool promo for the fire department. So we're going to get through that real quick, and then I probably won't pause. I'll just go on to the first fire safety one after that. Does that sound like a good idea?
Sure.
Okay.
San Jose being such a large city and so diverse, 210 square miles, almost 1 million people.
The types of calls that we run on a daily basis would surprise folks.
Whatever the call is, we're coming with whatever you need.
An all-risk fire department is basically when you call and have an emergency and you call 911, we're going to come out and we can handle anything that you have. You'll see us with our fire engine, our fire truck at all times. That's our roving toolbox.
Every day I come to work, it's different. I don't know what I'm going to get. It is a total roll of the dice.
The opportunity to make a difference, to be of service to the citizens and to the community.
I like being able to make a difference and feel confident that I can jump in there and actually stop a problem from getting any worse.
It's a rewarding job and one in which I could probably never stop learning. Every day I can learn something new and use.
Did something positive. Our goal is to have you never have to call 911. We do that through fire prevention and education and health awareness. But when you do call, you can be assured that you're going to get 4 trained professionals who are going to be there and ready to respond to whatever your needs are.
Okay. I love that. I love that video. It reminds me of some of those TV shows when you got especially the ending. So I'm going to go into the. Pardon?
It's hard to fight the urge to say something.
So I'll start the fire safety one in the kitchen next. And
San Jose Fire Department. Did you know that cooking fires are the #1 cause of home fires and home injuries? Let's go over some tips to help you stay safe while cooking at home. Most kitchen fires are caused by unattended cooking. If you're using the stovetop, it's important to stay in the kitchen. If you do have to leave, even for just a moment, turn off the stove. It can take less than a minute for a fire to grow out of hand. You should also clear anything that can catch fire, such as wooden utensils, food packaging, and towels, away from the stovetop while cooking. If you have children at home, create a kid-free zone to keep them safe from burns. Aim for at least 3 feet around the stove. Last but not least, always have a lid nearby. If you have a grease fire, slide the lid over the pot or pan, turn off the burner, and wait for it to cool down. Never throw water on a grease fire. If there's an oven fire, turn off the heat and keep the door closed until it goes out. If the fire gets out of control, get outside quickly. Close the door behind you and call 911. By practicing safe cooking in the kitchen, you can help prevent home fires and injuries. Thanks for watching.
so I think we'll pause here, and you guys, if the fire department people have anything else to add, or if there's any questions.
Sure. Yeah. So with a lot of the calls that we run are fire related, obviously, and a certain percentage of those, a pretty large percentage, is going to be related to cooking incidents. And so everything you saw in the video, apply that. And the biggest thing is to operate safely and always pay attention. Never leave your food unattended. That's the biggest thing is unattended food that we see. We call it, food on the stove, pot on the stove. And those fires generally, are just a lot of smoke evacuation, but we have been on fires where it took down the whole house. And this whole room contents fire where it just takes out the whole kitchen, and it's thousands of dollars worth of damage. And the biggest thing is the safety. So the damage might happen, insurance will take care of that, but as long as everyone gets out of the building safely, then that's the most important thing. So if a fire does happen, like what they said, turn off the stove. If it's safe to do so, turn off the stove, put a lid over the food. If it's safe, if you're overcome with snow or heat, or you can't get to it, then the most important thing is to get out of the house and call 911. Shut the front door, because that actually stops the flow path, that we call flow path, of air getting into the house and increasing the size of the fire.
What about barbecues, like gas barbecues? Like I noticed, like sometimes mine, the grease accumulates and then it starts on fire and it freaks me out. I turn off the gas, but what else am I supposed to be doing?
That's it. It can start, before that. Cleanliness with the barbecue. If a bunch of grease gets down to the bottom, if it's, that's sometimes that'll catch on fire because the whole thing gets too hot, and then the grease that's been sitting in the residue underneath, that'll catch on fire. So if you keep the barbecue clean, that's number one. And then again, don't leave the barbecue unattended. And if you're cooking something that has a lot of, or anything has the potential to catch on fire, so just really attending the barbecue all the time, not leaving it unattended where you're not paying attention to it. That's the biggest thing. It's really cleanliness and paying attention. But If it does catch on fire, then there's, it's most of them are gas barbecues, so turn off the gas to it. And then leave it covered, because if you open it, it's gonna give more oxygen to it and create a bigger fire. So leave it covered and then, call 911 for sure if it's getting out of hand, and we'll come and help out with that. We do see a lot of people taking care of the garden hose, and if you're able to do so safely, that's totally fine. The biggest thing that we don't want people doing is getting themselves hurt trying to put out a fire that is out of hand. So number one is your safety, and then if you're able to do some type of extinguishment on it with that garden hose, then that's okay too. They did say never put water on a grease fire, and that's very true. So a fire extinguisher would be the number one choice for any type of cooking fire or a grease to potential.
I have two questions.
Sure.
On a fire extinguisher, where it's the little needle's pointing in the green, can that be that way for 10 years and still be an acceptable extinguisher, or do you have to replace the extinguisher?
The extinguishers need to be checked and replaced every year.
Every year?
Yes. So that's like an NFPA standard, like National Fire Protection Agency standard. So that's actually one of the things that we do, not on people's houses, but on commercial buildings or residential units, multifamily residential units. We'll go and we'll inspect those every year, and make sure that they're changed out. So that is one thing to check. So it might stay, it might be in the green, and it might be okay to use it, but there's no guarantee on it because things they need to be checked every year.
And how do you check it? Just
well, how do you check it? On your personal one, I would just change it out every year. Yeah, I would just get a new one every year.
How do we dispose on those? How do we dispose of those?
Take to the Santa Clara County Household Hazardous Waste.
There you go.
Okay.
Santa Clara County Household Hazardous Waste.
Any other?
Do we want to play the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me cue that up here just a second.
Hi, my name is Billy Tignazzi and I'm a firefighter with the San Jose Fire Department. Welcome to the first episode of Junior Fire Safety, where we make learning fire safety easy and fun. Now today's topic is a real important one: how to safely exit your home in case of an emergency. One big way you could help keep your family safe in case of a fire or emergency is to create and practice exit drills in the home. Let's get started. Most house fires occur at night when people are the least prepared. Home fires can be especially dangerous if you and your family members aren't familiar with how you will escape during an emergency. Before you get started, pick a safe meeting place outside your home and make sure each family member knows the location. This is where you should all go if you have to exit your home because of an emergency. Remember, it's important that once you all gather at the meeting place to stay there until help arrives. Never go back into a burning building for any reason. Next, I'm going to walk you through 4 easy steps to create your very own fire escape plan with your family. All you need is a sheet of paper, 2 different colors of crayons or markers, and some imagination. Step 1. Ask your parents to help you sketch the floor plan of your home on a piece of paper. It helps if you use a paper with grid lines. Step 2. Mark down all doors and windows, stairways, porches, porch roofs, and other areas where you could escape from. Do this for each room in your home. Step 3. Draw arrows to show your escape route for every room in your home. Look for the easiest and quickest way to get out of the room. Step 4. Using a different color, draw arrows to indicate one more exit route from each room in your home. You'll use this as your backup plan in case your primary escape route is blocked or unsafe to use. So now you created an awesome fire escape plan. What next? Practice, practice, practice. Practice using both routes in your escape plan. Regular exit drills in the home will help you test the plan and make updates if needed. For example, you'll want to be sure everyone in the household can unlock all doors and windows quickly, even in the dark. Remember to keep a flashlight and a pair of shoes or slippers next to your bed in case you need to escape in the dark. Parents, children should be closely supervised during drills in the home. No one should take unnecessary chances. Planning and practicing your exit drills in the home will ensure that you and your loved ones are ready for any fire or emergency. When a fire strikes, every second counts. Your exit plan will help each of you escape danger as quickly as possible. And remember, fire safety is everyone's job. Thanks for watching. For more information,
the thing. So I love this. We teach this a lot when we talk to younger people as well too. It's something that's very applicable for everyone. One thing I will add too is the importance of closing doors as well. Now I'll share my personal experience. A little over a year ago, we had a house fire in my house. Fortunately, it was a loss. But what saved the house from more damage is that we closed the doors. So my wife had left the house. She closed the door to our bedroom, and I was able to keep that fire contained mostly to the master bedroom. But I think that's a good habit to get into, whether you're sleeping at night or leaving, is just to close, bedrooms, bathrooms. That way, if something does happen, it can be contained behind the door. And we kind of talked about that flow path. It decreases the flow path, and it would leave it contained to a bedroom or a bathroom. So.
Thank you.
I have a question before we move to the next one, Karen.
Yeah.
My second question was, sockets and light switches. Over the years, do the connections, when he's squeezing it and making all these connections, the guy who put it in, do they ever wear off such that they become resistant and create fires? You have to pay attention to those, or just not, or do you know?
The one I've seen for sure would be and it's kind of for a little older homes, but circuit breakers or circuit boxes that have the aluminum, instead of the copper. I know, like with the heat fluctuation, that can like loosen those connections. That can be dangerous and cause like a circuit breaker fire. As far as the wall, I mean, possible. I would say more like damage to the cords themselves, maybe not so much the outlets. But I mean, if it's a concern, I mean, it's certainly something to turn the power off, and safe, or have an electrician come over and check it out if there is a concern. So.
Thank you. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, one thing I want to note also, as far as the escape plan, I remember also some advices, especially with older, it's not as well. Yeah, it is relevant, because like if you have a husband and wife and they're working in different areas, they suggest you have 2 different places, like meeting places in case of a real disaster. Like let's say we have an earthquake, and he's over on Brokaw Road and I'm on Almaden. We should have a place that we know that depending on where the disaster is, that we would know to meet each other and our families. So that's also a good suggestion that I heard about emergency planning. Okay, so let me get the next one going.
Important part of any home fire escape plan. They can save lives and property by putting out a small fire or suppressing it until the fire department arrives. Hello, I'm Fire Engineer Kevin Shriver with the San Jose Fire Department. And in this video, I'm going to go over how to properly select, use, maintain, and dispose of a fire extinguisher. Let's get started. There are 5 common types of fire extinguishers. These are labeled using standard letter or picture symbols that correlate to the type of fire they are designed for. A multi-purpose extinguisher rated A, B, C is recommended for home use. If you're purchasing one for a business, consider what class of fire your business may encounter using this chart. When there's a fire, it can be tempting to grab a fire extinguisher right away. However, there are a few important things you need to do beforehand. First, identify your escape routes. If you can't put out a fire, you'll need to make a safe exit. Second, warn everyone in your home. Make sure they're aware of the fire so that they can start evacuating right away. Third, call 911. The fire department will be on their way in case the fire grows out of control. Lastly, assess the fire. It's best to use a fire extinguisher on a fire that is small, contained, not rapidly growing, and in an area that is not yet filled with smoke. Only after these 4 steps should you attempt to put out a fire. Now let's go over how to properly use a fire extinguisher. Once you've assessed the fire and determined that it can be put out with an extinguisher, you want to first grab your extinguisher. Stand back 6 to 8 feet and face the fire. Remember to keep your back towards the exit you previously identified, just in case you need to make a safe exit.
So now you're ready to discharge the fire extinguisher using the PASS acronym. Keeping the nozzle pointed away from you, you want to pull the pin by twisting, releasing the locking mechanism, and pulling the pin out. Aim low. Point the nozzle of the extinguisher at the base of the fire. Squeeze the lever slowly and evenly. Sweep the nozzle from side to side. Once the fire is out, or if you're unable to extinguish the fire, leave the scene, find safety, and call 911 immediately if you haven't done so. To ensure your fire extinguishers are in proper working order when you need it the most, dented or rusted. Check that the pressure gauge is in the green zone. For maximum protection, it's also important to think about the number and placement of fire extinguishers in your home. We recommend you identify the rooms in your home that pose greater fire risks and place fire extinguishers in these key locations. For example, consider putting them in the kitchen, each floor of your home, garage, laundry room, and patio. Just make sure they're easily accessible to adults who know how to operate them, but kept out of reach of children. Once you've used a fire extinguisher, you should either dispose of it or refill it. Not all fire extinguishers are refillable, so you'll have to read the instruction manual for your particular model. Your fire extinguishers should only be recharged by a certified fire equipment dealer or a fire protection company. Otherwise, you can dispose of a fire extinguisher through the County of Santa Clara's Household Hazardous Waste Program. Visit hhw.org or call 408-299-7300 for more information. A fire extinguisher that has been properly selected, maintained, and used can save lives and property. But remember, it's only one part of your home fire escape plan. Advanced planning will help ensure that you and your family are ready for any fire emergency. Until next time, bye-bye.
Okay. Any questions about fire extinguishers?
Is it appropriate to have a fire extinguisher in your car? Is it ever safe to use the fire extinguisher on and on with you?
Absolutely. I mean, having a fire extinguisher in your car, coming down to your vehicle or something else. And oftentimes when we go on vehicle fires, the bystanders are there first. Just, I mean,
Which type of fire extinguisher would be appropriate?
ABC extinguisher with the dry chem. The dry chems cover the classification of fire, electrical, flammable liquids, and then just working in hospitals.
You definitely have both electrical and flammable in the car.
Yeah, it takes time for people to actually get a vehicle unless it's a very bad accident. A lot of times it's coming from the department. That's where a lot of fire starts. So the least you can do is protect people to get them out of the car, and then become ridiculous.
I thought I had a car fire once, and I pulled into the nearest gas station, and the smoke was coming out of my car. And it turned out it was leaves. Sitting on something, and the fire wasn't in the end, the fire was in leaves that were sitting on cars. So they said, no, I said, well, I'm ready to put it to you, so.
Your car was on fire and you pulled into a gas station. That was the big one.
And they kind of, it's like a kind of, and they didn't, what they did was, they opened the hood and saw that it was just the leak, and they just took an air hose and threw it off.
Thank you.
So I added a link in the chat that, you know, originally we were kind of thought this was a good time to talk about wildfires, but as Sage mentioned, we're really not in a wildfire area, even though we feel a little bit vulnerable in being next to the hill. But this site that I linked to does have some information on wildfire. Actually, I'll just show you it. Let me share my screen again. And it's this one. So how to prepare defensible space, hardening your home. So if you're interested in anything like that, you can go to that website and look for more information. I'm wondering how we are for time, if we should move on to, I think the PD has an update, or do you guys want to, there's one more video on, what was it? Oh, smoke detectors. Or do you guys want to just talk about smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors? Just kind of.
We can
put
touch
in a
on
quick-
those. Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, jump on that.
No, not really. So smoke detectors, everyone should hopefully have one. Just push a button, check it every month, make sure it works. And then, change it out every year. And make sure it's just working.
We need advice on where to put them to be the most effective.
Mostly in the kitchen, in the hallways, in the bedrooms, kind of like every room. But mostly the kitchen area and the garage.
And in the kitchen, it doesn't have to be right over the stove, because you're gonna get a lot of, or you also get a lot of calls for like steam showers, things like that. So like having them right outside the in the hallway, right outside the bathroom is a good location. And there's more information on the website about exactly where to put them. If you have more questions, that website has a lot of really good fire prevention information on there. And we could talk for 48 hours on this stuff based on the amount of information that's inside that. So if there's anything that you guys want to touch up on more specifically, or you have friends that live in wildland areas, we want to share some information with them. We recommend sharing information, teaching your kids if you have kids in your house, and not just taking the information and sharing it with someone else that it could be applicable to.
Well, thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. In the bedroom, you walk in the door and you look back up, and you put the fire extinguisher here on top of the door or up out in the ceiling?
Smoke detector or fire?
A fire extinguisher. I mean, fire detector.
Smoke detector, yeah, it will be up on the ceiling.
Up in the ceiling, away from.
You always want it the highest point. I'll get it smoke. Nice.
And what about carbon monoxide detectors? Is there any different place you should put those rather than around? I mean, where in your house should you have carbon monoxide detectors?
There's some, there's some detectors that do both, and that's what I would recommend, is a detector that picks up both smoke and carbon monoxide, because they are different, and sometimes we get a detector that goes off for carbon monoxide, and it's not going off for smoke because it's not producing smoke. So that can be beneficial to have both. Really, they feel in the same way. So my recommendation is you definitely want to have a smoke detector, but the carbon monoxide detectors are good, but they're not as important as a smoke detector. But I would have both.
Fire blankets, see them on Facebook all the time for sale. Are they worth it?
So I was asked that.
Yeah, good question about fire blankets.
And so the fire blankets, I did a little bit of research on it, and there wasn't a whole lot of information that I could find in America. Most of the information was from Europe, because it's a bigger technology in Europe. We do have them. You can order on Amazon and things like that. And there's a lot of different companies that make them. From what I can tell, they seem like they work, but I would just make sure that you do. I would replace a fire extinguisher with a blanket. I would have an extinguisher for sure, the class A, B, C extinguisher, which is a dry chem. And then if you want to have a fire blanket in addition to that, then I would recommend that. But watch the videos and get trained up on it. It looks like there's could be a little bit more risk too when you're using the fire blanket, because you actually have to walk up to the fire and put it directly over the pot that's on fire. And it only works for an enclosed pot, because if you just throw it on a big open flame, it's not going to be able to smother it. So I would say there's a little bit more risk with using them, but I mean, I'll probably do it in my house.
Yeah, it might be one case where you need it. Right. That's it, Karen.
Okay, That's it? Okay, well, thanks for coming and stopping by, and sorry for the delay, and we really appreciate you guys keeping our neighborhood safe. I'm always impressed when we have small wildfires, how quick, because I get, really worried. I see smoke and then I'm freaking out, and then it's out, and like by the time I'm freaking out, it's gone. So you guys always do a great job on the, the hill fires nearby. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
So Greg, who's left? Who's next? Okay.
One left, one Lone Ranger left.
Yeah.
Where's your buddies go? They've
I'm taking a call right now.
oh.
I'll make it super quick, because I know it's getting late, and I think it's supposed to wrap at 8:30. So I have some Captain Johnny who couldn't make it. My name's Anthony Kilmer. I'm a lieutenant assigned to this particular area. I appreciate you guys having me. I appreciate having you stay late. Baldwin Chan is the sergeant who's taking a phone call for this area. My responsibility is this whole area as well. I work Wednesday through Saturday afternoon shift from about 3 o'clock to about 1 o'clock in the morning. A couple of things I just want to highlight that Captain Donahue sent. I think first and foremost, we should probably recognize the fact that we had a recent funeral for our CSO Long Pham, who, just a reminder, he actually was killed not too far from here over on Monterey and Palm. So we did that on August 30th, and it was very nice. The city did a very nice job of that. Couple of updates for you guys regarding activity in the area. This is what was shared with me from Captain Donahue. No residential or commercial burglaries in the last 30 days, which is great. There are no robberies reported in this area for the last 30 days. There was one aggravated assault. And what that was is, I believe there's possibly an elder home in the area. And it's some sort of cross-reporting of elder abuse going on there. So it's classified as an assault. That's still under investigation. No homicides in this area the last 30 days. And I'm seeing only one reported injury collision over off of Bernal and Via Serena. Other things that.
Do you mean that the elder abuse happened at the home?
It happened at probably at a what's the proper way to put it? Home for the elderly.
Yep, the facility.
Facility. But a lot of times what those are just kind of for peace of mind. Somebody tells somebody that, my aunt's being abused, and they have to do a mandatory report. So it's not necessarily, they're still looking into it. So it's maybe just a documentation type thing. That's what answer that question. What else? There's been several vehicle burglaries in the last 30 days, and it sounds like it's in the area of Via Rotella. I need help with this. Is when you guys see a person lurking around that's kind of avoiding people or contact, we need the phone calls. 911 is the best. People always are like, "Should non-emergency, emergency, call 911. We'll sort it out, get a description," because Baldwin's out here, I'm out here. If we're hearing certain patterns, we're going to start shifting resources that way. Somebody asked about parks and the cameras. One of the things that we're doing out here with the parks is I'm personally making a point, Baldwin's team's making a point, is we drive through, just being visible. Visibility, high visibility patrol is the best thing we can do. Like literally, as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna drive over to Rammer Park and just do a few laps in there and hang out and see who's playing soccer, but it's about being visible. When they're seeing graffiti or, obviously the app is the best because the app is tracked. It's shared with us to help people know what's going on.
This seems like your most of Sales Park gets hit all the time.
Yeah. Yes.
Like weekly or something.
Yeah.
It's
We had
crazy.
we had a few months where it was nothing, and all of a sudden in the last 2 weeks, popped right up again all over.
That's all Lost Sales.
Yeah, Sales Park is just constantly getting.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to congratulate Alex. He's the one that goes out and reports it and cleans it.
We appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. It helps. It honestly, so I had a ride along last night. And this gentleman's from one of the advisory boards, no slaying me and graffiti. And this gentleman's like, I had no idea all the backstory, what it means and what it's about, because that's my background and all that stuff. But I appreciate you doing that because it prevents issues down the road.
Is it true that getting rid of it as quick as possible is
the best.
the best.
Is the best. 'Cause what happens is, it's like anything else, it turns into can you put that up? I'm gonna see you and raise you. I'm gonna do some more, cross it out, and then it turns into, I'm gonna raise you more. So if we can eliminate it, cover it up, the sooner the better, it just doesn't invite more issues. So I, again, appreciate you doing it. Thank you. Yeah.
Would if, I don't know if it's something that we do in our neighborhood, but where we see graffiti most frequently, is it possible for us to like bring somebody in to put like a beautiful mural on it? Because I feel like there's less likely for people to, I don't really see graffiti on beautiful murals.
Yes. So there's kind of an unwritten rule within the graffiti community, the taggers, the gangsters.
Yeah.
In other parts of the city, I know they do beautify the electrical boxes.
Yeah.
And I've seen those, and those are great. And I don't know, you might have more knowledge.
You
than I
know,
do.
you have two in our neighborhood,
Yeah.
two boxes that are, they were traffic lights.
Yeah.
And they were, we did get projects, get them.
Yeah. So there's
So,
something,
and they have nothing back.
that's a great idea. I think that you're obviously.
Yeah.
Try to work with our city.
The majority of the tagging that's taking place are, I mean, aside from the one incident where they tagged bathroom building, usually most of the tagging takes place inside the bathroom, so you can't really paint a mural in there.
But I think a good deterrent is have visibility presence, and it's also from us, but also it's having you guys give us a call. You know, there's a meeting code about having being in the parks after dark. And you know, we can only be so many places at one time, and if you're calling, say there's a bunch of kids that think they're drinking in the park, all of them triage it and try and get this team out there to address that issue. And that should help bring down those other issues.
Are there lights on that bathroom? Like, is it lit up at night?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's, and I want to respect folks' time. I don't have any cool videos, the fire guys. Yeah, but you know, we have to stick around for a little bit. Baldwin's out here. This is his team. We're gonna be out here for a while. I love working in this area. I encourage a couple little things I always try to plug, especially with this. We're hiring. We need help. We're hiring for officers. We're hiring for community service officers. We're hiring dispatchers. We're hiring 911 call takers. We're always hiring, and everything's on our SJPD website. Because we all know somebody in here, an aunt, uncle, niece, nephew, that's kind of like looking for something, and you guys are our best advocates. And there's nothing like having someone homegrown. I was born and raised here in San Jose. I love working here. Been here 22 years. But I always try to encourage, hey, give us a look. Give us a look. We're hiring. With that, I will.
You probably mentioned it already, but I can't stress enough, San Jose people would have, I live in San Jose, I use it. Oh, yeah, so I use the app, and if, I don't know if Tony mentioned, but if it's gang graffiti, they will try to paint over it, but then to the parks. Like I said, I use it on patrol myself. And then for any on the traffic requests, use the website as well. I talked to our motors officers and they say, hey, we need documentation when the traffic hazards are, what time, is it commute hours, is there a certain intersection? Once it's documented, they can go out and address it. Those two things at once.
You know, in the interest of time, questions, I'll stick around, or yes, sir.
You hear a lot of social media people talking about the emergency interim houses causes crime, and crime increases because of that. But I don't believe so myself personally. The people in there, I think they're trying to get better, most of them anyway.
Yeah.
There are some that leave and cause problems. What is your information that you have on the effect of emergency interim housing?
So that's a
right from making cataracts.
No, it's a tricky issue. I don't have any data to support either way. I don't have information that shows that certain places generate more calls for service. You know, from my experience personally, where I live down in South County. It's about managing. It's about managing those facilities. If there's strong, robust management that runs those, where there's strong guidelines, rules. We have one in our police department parking lot. If you guys don't know that, next time you're driving to the airport, you're over Highway 87. see the police department, look down a little further, and there is the transitional housing in our parking.
Guadalupe, Guadalupe.
Yep. And to my knowledge, I mean, it's been there almost 2 years. I can count on one hand how many issues we've had in the facility. I think part of it's being close to the police department might skew it a little bit, but to your question, I personally don't see a whole lot of issues. It's always the peripheral, the friends that come by. But it goes back to management, and if you have strong management that says no visitors, we had an incident in a different part of San Jose involving a different transitional facility, and they were great because they're like, hey, this guy was a visitor, this is his name, we got to scan his ID, they check in, they were very helpful for us. So to your question, I think it's strong management, strong rules that create a good facility. It's the ones that are doing the phone flammery that cause community folks some issues. So I hope that helps a little bit.
You see that the ones near us are managed well?
I believe so. I've been out here for over 6 months. Actually, I've been out here working day shift for almost 1.5 years, and I can't think of any major issue going through the mental Rolodex here at any facilities down here that I'm aware of. I don't want to say that there's none. That's probably inaccurate, but I'm out here in the mix a lot. It's always on me about it. But we have a pretty good finger on the pulse. So I can't think of a major issue at some of these facilities nearby. But I don't want to say there has to be. That's me out here.
When there's a perception that there's an increase in people hanging out at the Lucky's and the different shopping areas, and that there's more beggars and maybe people with mental problems that can put people on edge.
Yeah.
We hear okay, somebody like at Lucky's was attacked,
something happened,
or assaulted. Does that intersect with it makes it seem like those facilities are contributing, but where does the data?
I hear you. I don't see any data to support that. I don't, from personal observations, what you're seeing is across the city. There is no part of the city that has not been touched by some of those issues that you're talking about. And it's not specific to this specific neighborhood. Everywhere's been touched. To what degrees and levels is part of it, in my opinion, always perception. I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think you're more in tune with it now because of some of the stuff that's been going on here, and you're here, you're educating yourself, you're seeing facilities coming. And now there's some correlations like, hey, I think there's more of this going on, there's more of that going on. But I don't want to discount what you're saying. I think there might be something to it, but I don't have any data to support it and show that. But again, rest assured, every part of the city is being touched to some degree with our unhoused folks. And the city's working hard. They're doing a lot of great things with transitional housing in the county and whatnot. But it's tough. It's not an easy issue. Not an easy issue. Every single day we're dealing with something regarding one of our unhoused folks' population.
This community cares about the unhoused. It's not that there's no care. There's just concern for the kids walk around the neighborhood, and sometimes the people have mental illness challenges, and there's Megan's on. If there's anybody who is on Megan's on registered and not there, like that's just scary in that nature.
I hear it. Anything else I can help you guys with, or things that's chewing at you, or anything online friends? Everybody else noticed kids get in the bath?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a highly trained server right there. That's talking about it.
I don't see any hands up.
Anybody?
Anybody?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
One more question, Karen. Hold on. And like Tony added, I grew up in San Jose. I grew up in North Side, various stuff, and I've seen how San Jose has changed. And just like any other big population center, right? When there's an increase in the population and people and housing and residents, you're gonna see more calls for service and more issues. So if San Jose was the way it was 20 years ago, with a smaller population, definitely we had less call volume, more officers then. But now we've had, more residents move in, more visitors, so we're gonna see an increase in calls for service and transient or unknown. But like Tony, I agree with him, it's a very complex issue. And I think our city is really working hard and our mayor is really working hard to try to solve it.
Won't be fixed overnight. So we're trying. I thank you guys for being here. I mean, I'm sure you probably do a lot of other things, and I appreciate you folks online taking time to come in and checking in and being aware of your community. It's so great. Appreciate that.
So any updates on these, on street racing?
Street racing, yeah, we're all over it. So, we have a very, I've been on 22 years. When I first started, it was some kids that would soup up mom's car and do some silly stuff. We show up and they just go away. Now it's highly adversarial. You guys see on the news, I mean, officers have been attacked, jumped on our cars, broke windows, tried to get in the car. We can't show up a solo 1-2 officer. We have to do a coordinated response. We're getting really good at it. To the point where we're sending officers to or they're asking us to come to other cities throughout the country and ask us to explain how you guys are doing it. And a lot of it has to do with the helicopter. We have one helicopter for a city of 1 million people. It only flies so many hours per day. But when they're up, those guys are a force multiplier. They can coordinate from above and get us in certain areas and directions and block people in. They can observe things, they can record things. They're great, but they're only up for a finite amount of time. We are very robust when it comes to communication with other agencies throughout the Bay Area. There's a great communication, especially on Friday, Saturday nights when this tends to happen. Hey, we're having an issue here, heads up, they're coming your way. And if we know that, we'll rally the troops and we'll put the coordinated response and make it not very pleasant to be here. Some penalties. If we unview them doing the old sideshow thing, spin, it's a 30-day, we take their car to car check for 30 days. It gets tough. And then typically the driver is arrested and booked into jail for this driver. Those consequences. The issue is
Spectators too, right?
we have a spectator ordinance that requires us to herd the cats and kind of get them in, but it's very, very, very resource intensive. So we gotta weigh it out, and then I will talk like, hey, are we looking? Do we have resources, or are we dealing with calls and car crashes, and family issues, or are we just gonna try and stop 1 or 2 from them off? We're aware of it. Some really cool stuff that we're doing. You guys mentioned Flock earlier, the cameras. That's been a great tool where we can capture some plates, document it, track them down. We'll enter cars. We just entered, I think it was like 30 cars in the last couple of weeks. We had a sideshow, big mess, a bunch of cars got away, but we were able to grab plates, people leaving either through the helicopter or officers on the ground. They wrote what they call seizure warrants, which is basically an affidavit saying, I saw this car doing this. And it gives us legal authority to tow the cars for 30 days. So it's very uncomfortable. And a lot of these folks that are doing it, they're not residents of San Jose. And think about it, now I'm gonna tow your car for 30 days. That's about $2,500 to $3,000 to get it out. With all the storage fees, then you got to pay San Jose PD processing fees. So you're kissing about $3,000 to $4,000 on top of whatever issues or fines that you might incur. So that's what we get is in the pocketbook. You go out to some of these folks and take their car, and some of these cars are $50,000, $60,000, $80,000 cars. So it hurts. It hurts. So to your point and question, we're on it. We're all over it. We try to do our best. Some impromptu stuff pops up here and there where it's a couple of buddies doing dumb stuff, and we try to address it when we can. So yeah, it is a issue that's near and dear to our hearts.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. I guess that's it. Anything else?
Is there any other comment somebody want put out before we adjourn the meeting?
Just got home and I saw you guys.
Well, I think that's it, Karen. The meeting is adjourned.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming.